I love a buttered biscuit.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Man, I don't know what happened. I had to reinstall my operating system, so everything went all screwy. Normally, this wouldn't have happened, but, well, damn it. This is what happens whenever you're smart enough to reinstall your operating system in the middle of the day and try to set up a stream and forget to change the time to Eastern. Sorry about that, everybody. It showed up at Central Time, and my Lord Almighty, that's not what I meant to do. Hope everyone's doing fine this evening, and sorry about that. But hey, this is just how it goes. So I've got a couple of things I'm going to do here tonight. One is I'm wanting to pull up the original hearing that they had. It was interesting as all get out. So that particular one is it's a short 18-minute video. We're gonna let that thing play through, and we're gonna get a chance to see what that looks like, and if hoping that you don't end up with any sort of weird double sounds on this. I'll try to, if it starts giving you an echo, just let me know, and should be able to fix that problem pretty quickly. I'm hoping I can. But yeah, there might be some weird echo happening. If it does, like I said, I'll take care of it pretty quickly. We'll know here shortly if it does. So let me get that happening for you guys, and this one is corrected. There we go. This is the original hearing here of Sarah Boone going in and seeing the judge, and judge telling her, "No, piss off. You're not getting what you want." So we're going to go ahead and hit play on this. Just let me know if you get any weird echoes.
Mr. Cacciatore.
And I'm betting you're not getting any sound. Is that true? Let me know if you're getting no sound. If you're getting no sound, I want to make sure. Check real quick here. And Nope, you got sound. Good. I just wanted to be sure before I let this thing continue on here, because that would really suck for you guys if you had no audio. All right, let's do this.
Mr. Cacciatore.
Dave Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Ms. Boone, good morning. Could you please raise your right hand so Madam Clerk can swear you in?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Yes.
Ma'am, good morning. Could you state your name and date of birth for the record for me?
Sarah Boone, 10-10-77.
We also have a representative from Prison Break Investigations. Sir, if you could come forward, please.
Speed up this a little bit, because we don't need to be too interested in what's
If you could,
happening.
sir, raise your right hand. Madam Clerk's going to go ahead and swear you in.
Settings. Speed.
Sir, good morning. Could you state your name for the record?
Billy Lane.
And Mr. Lane, what's your affiliation with Prison Break Investigations?
I'm the owner and chief investigator.
Okay, very good. The reason the court had this hearing this morning is the court has found that Ms. Boone has forfeited her right to counsel and waived her right to counsel alternatively by virtue of her conduct in this case. As such, Ms. Boone is currently representing herself. The court has been working diligently to provide you the discovery. I received your letter, ma'am, and I have reviewed it. We have not forgotten about you. It's just taken some time in order to coordinate the appropriate processes with the jail. In conversations with the jail, a laptop has been secured and will be issued to you after USB drives are provided with all the discovery. Upon the jail's receipt of those items, the following provisions will be adhered to. The laptop, charging cable, and USB devices will be kept in the FDC main control room when not in use. At no time will the charging cord be placed in the housing unit. Upon the return of the laptop to the FDC main control, the laptop will be placed on the charging cable to ensure it is available for the next day's usage. The laptop and USB device is to be accounted for with the control room inventory. The control room DST or CO will make logbook entries for the issuing and returning the USB device and laptop. The dorm officer will make logbook entries for the receiving and returning of these items to the applicable movement officer. A notebook entry will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to inmate Boone. The laptop and USB device will be available daily to you, Ms. Boone, between 0800
Hey,
and 1600
Good to
hours.
see you. Glad
A
you
notebook
could make
entry
it.
will be completed in IMS for every issuance of the laptop and USB device to yourself, Ms. Boone. The discovery was provided at the court previously and is in the two bankers boxes that are in front of the court to your left, Mr. Lane. I'm going to order you, sir, to take possession and custody of that discovery that was provided to the court previously on June 28, 2024.
Good to
You,
see you,
through
Heidi.
prison break
Good to see
investigation,
you.
shall copy all of the discovery onto as many USB dump drives as necessary. The Judicial
There we go.
Administration Commission for the state of Florida shall be responsible for the fees and costs due to prison break investigations for copying all of the discovery onto as many USB jump drives as necessary.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
You will appear
Yeah, well, you
with the court hearing with the court on August 1st,
But
2024 at 8:45
this
in
is-
courtroom 12A
this is
of the Orange
just
County
giving a
Courthouse
rundown of
with the
everything.
discovery and all USB jump drives containing the discovery. A representative from the Orange County Jail shall also appear for that hearing as well. At that point in time, prison break investigation shall hand deliver all USB jump drives containing the discovery to the representative from the Orange County Jail in order to be placed onto the laptop that is currently secured and to be issued to the defendant for all trial and court preparation. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
I have a conflict for August 1st, Your Honor. I'm
Okay.
going to be out of state from Tuesday until Friday next week, which I believe in the conference August 1st for my son's wedding.
Okay, well, congratulations. When do you return from your son's wedding, sir?
I will be back late Friday evening, so I'll be available the following week.
Okay, will you be able to complete that task by that time?
There we go.
Okay, sir, we will see you on give me a second, let me check the date. Monday, August 5 at 8:45. Okay, you'll be given a copy of the order that I just read from. Ms. Boone, you'll also be given a copy of the order. Do you have any questions for me?
I am thoroughly confused. Was
Well,
the
I
notice
figures-
ever cut online for this or mailed to anyone? I don't even know why Mr. Lane is here. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, ma'am, you are now representing yourself, and previously you had requested to appear at every hearing that was held. As you are now representing yourself, the court cannot have any hearings regarding your case without you being here. I put on the record and explained to you the process that the court has had with communications with the jail. I'm not allowed to look at any of that. I'm not allowed to copy any of that.
Yep.
So in speaking with the jail and understanding that you still have a private investigator that was provided to you through the state that's being compensated by the state, you're still allowed to utilize his services. The protections of the attorney-client privilege are still applicable to him. So he's able to review any of these documents, ensure that they are safely copied without violating any terms of the privileges. Those will then be placed on multiple
Yes.
USB drives and provided to you. Those USB drives will then be uploaded to a computer that has been secured for you at the jail for you to access all of that information.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay. My question is, was a notice of hearing posted or mailed to anyone to where apparently the news crews obviously got it? How is it that I do not know anything about this other than my bunk being kicked at 3:00 in the morning telling me I have court?
Ma'am, I have no other way to get in touch with you other than
That's what
setting the
happens.
hearing, which was set
Titties, and
yesterday
get
once I
able to
received
show
confirmation
fine.
from the jail as to the processes for how this would work. And I understand that your case is important and I want to move as efficiently, as diligently as possible. I know that you've been waiting for this information and it took some time to confirm the process with the jail. You've advised me that you have very limited space. You have almost no privacy. You have a small drawer where you can keep some personal effects. We could not send all of those boxes with you to the jail, and the jail advised me that they cannot
There you
take
go.
all those boxes.
There
A
it
process
goes.
had to be created to make sure, and this is the process.
The process that I was explained after speaking to a couple of sergeants, and
Are they lawyers? No. Then shut up.
I've been waiting for that,
They're
and
not
I would
doing
much rather
anything for you
prefer
then.
a hard copy of these to where I can write on them as opposed to anything that's on a laptop.
I'm
Not
unable to
doing
provide that
anything
for you.
for her.
I have been provided the
Nothing. Not a
process
zero.
has been
zilch.
provided to me by the Orange County Jail.
Mhm.
I understand that's your preference, but I can't do anything more than what I've done right now.
I understand.
I understand.
And
No,
I
you don't.
have had other information given to me, which is why I've been waiting for the boxes for them. So I don't know, is this something that I need to pursue continuously still for me to be able to receive my hard copies? Because no one tells me anything.
I cannot answer that question because that may call for me providing you legal advice, which I am prohibited from doing.
Okay. Well, because I have no other way of contacting you other than in a letter, and it's
And that's the way
AKA
it goes.
worldwide. So am I supposed to go back and speak to the captain and whoever else it is that I might need to speak to in order to receive these?
Again, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that we will have a hearing on August 5, whereby which prison break investigations will provide all of the information on USB drives. Those will be provided to a representative from the Orange County Jail,
Hey,
who
Wesley,
will place all that
how's it
information on a
going? Good to
laptop
see
for you
you.
to use, and that's accessible
could
for your
make it
use
in.
from 0800 to 1600 every day.
We
Right.
got some good stuff for
Okay,
you guys
so
tonight.
I guess I will figure that out because if I'm up at 2:00 in the morning, I can't utilize the laptop, which is why another reason why I was looking forward to the hard copies.
You're incarcerated.
So my other question is my time prorated for the time that I've been waiting for my discovery?
No.
I'm not sure I understand what that means.
Will I be having additional time added or will it be extended from the time period of me waiting for my discovery still?
No.
I'm not in a position to answer that question. I don't know what it is that you're asking for.
My pretrial is supposedly set for September 24th, I believe it is.
Yep.
So obviously I will not be prepared. And obviously I do not know what I'm doing. And obviously I'm still waiting for my discovery.
Obviously.
So for that time period that I've been waiting for almost 4 weeks now, will that be added to the time frame in order for me to be properly prepared?
As of right now, the
Sucking
dates are
on
what
it.
the dates are, ma'am.
Okay, so I just missed a week. I'm a month.
Sucks
The dates are what the
to
dates are.
be you.
So I also sent you, I believe, 5 motions. Have you received those?
No, ma'am, I have not.
They were mailed last week.
Then I have not received them yet. The last correspondence I got from you, ma'am, was received on July 8th.
Yeah, Sarah, you might want to stop trying to
5
talk to the
motions I
judge
mailed.
like
They're
you're an
probably sitting
equal.
wherever else it is, considering it takes a
You
day
are
for you all
far
to
from
receive my mail,
equal.
considering I'm right down the street from you all. So I have those also in order, which may change whatever information or anything that I'm trying to acquire in between now, the month less that I have in order to prepare for my trial. That's in October. So if you could keep an eye out for those also. I don't know who I'm supposed to ask. How did Mr. Lane come into any of this? Like, how was he called?
Mr. Lane has been your investigator in this case, and he was advised to attend this morning's hearing by virtue of being provided the discovery in order to digitize it so that you can have access to it.
The court contacted him?
I did not contact him.
Am I allowed to
Yeah.
speak to him directly?
You can.
Mr. Lane, who contacted you in order for you to be here, please?
GA.
If I'm pro se and my own attorney, shouldn't I be included in all of this so I know what's going on and not a surprise hearing like it is again for the second time?
Ma'am, again, this is why there were benefits to being represented by counsel. The
So,
court has already identified in its 16-page order the reasons for why you no longer have those benefits.
Right. Which
It
is
makes
not
things
formed.
exceptionally more difficult, as I explained to you, in communicating with the court and communicating with the state attorney's office.
Isn't that what a certificate of services for anything that's filed by anybody in the court?
There
That
was,
should be included in that.
ma'am, there was no certificate of service for setting this for today. This was coordinated by the JA. You were advised as soon as it was set. It was set yesterday.
yeah.
It's just very odd to me that the news knew
That's
about
how
it
it
before I
goes.
did.
Again, I can't speak to that.
And so nonetheless, my constitutional right to counsel is being forfeited on your behalf in the court. So now I don't get appropriate notice in preparation for me to
No.
be able to be here and doing what I'm supposed to be doing and act as and perform as.
I've already addressed the reasons, ma'am, for why there was a forfeiture and alternatively a waiver in the 16-page order that you were provided. Again, it's difficult to communicate with you based on where your current housing is. I'm not able to pick up the phone. The judicial assistant's not able to pick up the phone to communicate with you or send you an email to schedule certain things. And it looks
Yeah.
a little bit of a level of further complication.
How is it the news knows before I do?
You keep asking the same question and the answer is going to be the same. I cannot answer that question for you because I do not know.
Okay, but you do know it's harder for me.
I would agree with that. Yes.
And you do know that you did not ask me any questions in regards to your order. You just read it straight off and never asked me what's what or how many with anything of it.
Ma'am, if you have questions, I can certainly try to answer them. I'm trying to facilitate you getting that information that you're certainly entitled to. And it took time for a process to be created by the Orange County Jail, as they had advised me. They do not have a place to store 2 bankers' boxes of information, nor are they in a position to provide you physical copies. This is what I've been advised as the process is. As soon as that process was finalized, I set the hearing. This was finalized yesterday.
No one ever asks me. I've been waiting for the boxes. I really don't know what to say. And because I supposedly have no way to contact you other than a letter, and the same for you, I don't know how the news
That's how it
crews
goes.
got here before I did. But I don't know going forward, how is it that I'm supposed to be able to communicate with you other than me sitting here in front of you at these, I guess, supposed surprise hearings that I'm going to have every single time that it is that you would like to speak to me? Is that what it's going to be?
Ma'am, I cannot answer that question. All I can tell you is that you can communicate with the court through the avenues that you've been utilizing previously by and through letter writing. As I said, I do not have your letters that you sent last week. They're not in the court file and they were not in my inbox yesterday. So as soon as I receive them, I will diligently review them. And if we have to set a hearing, you'll be properly noticed for it.
In the certificate of service.
You'll be properly noticed for it. Yes, ma'am.
And will there be a proper notice for today?
Notice was performed last night. I've already explained.
The news crews, how they got here?
No, ma'am, I'm not going to let you do that. They're not under oath. They're not a party to this action right now.
Yeah.
It's
Dude, need to
it's
get
wrong
over
and
it.
it's unfair.
That's his life.
You're
Exactly.
certainly entitled to
Heidi.
that opinion.
Hey, happy
Am I allowed
Wednesday.
to ask
Good
him
to
a
see
question?
Daniel
Sure, go
Barry
ahead.
Sports Highlights.
Mr. Lane, how is it that you and I are supposed to be speaking to one another?
So My suggestion would be, since you're now the attorney and you will pro se, that either you or your honor gives me access to the jail to come visit with you, and I'll be happy to do that. It is the policy of the Orange County Jail to have a letter representing an attorney to allow me to access you. That's the reason for the past previous couple of attorneys I thought had the ability to come out and access you, but that's changed. And I'll be happy to continue to move forward with any investigative actions that can be fixed as long as I can get access.
So you need a letter from me,
Or the judge or the jail, somebody that will allow me access to you. Yes, ma'am.
and I send it to you directly?
Yeah. And that's
Is
what
this
we're
a
going to
letter
read
also that you'll
tonight.
be supplying to him?
I don't know that I'm in a position to compel
Oh, yeah.
the Orange County Jail to do anything,
good
But
tonight.
you are the ones who contacted him.
but I can't tell the jail, let this person come talk to you. If they have a policy where you need to provide the letter, then you need to provide the letter.
Yes.
So until you have that letter, you and I will not be able to speak with one another?
I will contact the jail myself and find out if there's an intention to pro se, or maybe they can speak to you directly to circumvent the actual letter itself.
Thank you.
Ma'am, do you have any other questions?
I don't think you have enough time. I'm just doing my best, and if you could please keep an eye out for my motions.
I will be on the lookout for them. You said there were
That's
five,
what
correct?
we're reading
Yes.
tonight.
I will be on.
Please include me on the certificate of service for whatever hearings that we have that are no longer a surprise for me, please.
Understood. You'll be given a copy of the court's order that I read momentarily, and I will see you both on August 5 at 8:45 in the morning. All right. Thank you all very much. Mr.
And
Castore,
there
anything
we
further,
go.
sir?
Nothing from the state.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So that is all there is to that. So this was her hearing, and these are the documents that were presented the other day, and I believe on the 30th. So yesterday these documents came out. Oh boy, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I guarantee it. It will be all that and more. So here we go. Let's do this. All righty. Nice. In the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in and for Orange County, Florida. State of Florida, the plaintiff is the plaintiff and versus Sarah Boone, defendant. Case number 2020CF002603080, Division 20. Motion requesting immediate relief to the defendant by appointing effective standby counsel to aid and support in preparation of her criminal case for trial. So what she's asking for is immediate relief to the defendant. All right. Immediate. Ooh, that's gonna make the judge happy, isn't it? She comes now, Sarah Boone. Pro se indigent defendant respectfully request from the court immediate relief by providing effective standby counsel with all legal services allowed and included to assist and the aid the defendant as a whole. In the complex, vital procedure preparation with the professional guidance during her forfeited right to counsel by the court as pro se attorney and her proposed lawful representation of self in her criminal case. Oh, she's a spicy one. A defendant's justifiable reasons for request relief and assistance are as follows. The defendant's constitutional right to counsel is being violated, unlawfully withheld, and forcibly removed from the indigent defendant, where under false pretense of speculation, libel, and misconstruction. By the defendant's lawful practice of her entitled first constitutional right to free speech and her God-given right to do so by writing her experience to derive truth, and providing red flag exposure in her competence to the court, requesting needing intervention to avoid present circumstances. She has lost completely her ability and advantage to properly, rightfully, successfully prepare her defense of innocence, progressively advance fairly and unrestricted while having the ability to be leveled equally with the prosecution. well, sweetheart, this is the way it goes. Yeah, this is the F around and find out moment that you just found out. Well, isn't that beautiful? You just found out what happens whenever you F around. Yes. The defendant is not an officer of this court or any legal system as a whole. She is not bound lawfully under oath or certified in any professional means to be or act as a legal agent or representative lacking requisite professionally competency, experience, expertise in the field of law presently and historically. Well, you should have thought about that whenever the judge told you, stop screwing around, stick with your counsel, listen to what they tell you, pay attention, and you will be through this just fine. If you act like you know more than them, you're about to find out that you don't. Hey, Taz, good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you could make it in. The defendant is defective and ineffective counsel to self as a result, which therefore will detrimentally impact and impede favorable justice to the defendant and the opportunity of a fair trial based on equality with an unprejudiced conclusion of her case. Well, this is basically where you find out, sweet cheeks, that, well, you messed around too much. You came off like you knew more than everybody else, and guess what? This is what happens, Karen. The defendant is presently incarcerated. Well, no shit. It's causing and will cause unfair burdens, limitations, deprivations, inaccessibilities, and unequal opportunities in and to her ability to complete tasks and timely responsibilities suitable for the vital defense of the defendant's life and livelihood futuristically. Well, how do you think that attorney felt? How do you think that all the attorneys that had to deal with your happy ass, how do you think they felt? Aren't I on early? Yeah, I made a mistake. I had it set to Central Time, my computer, and whenever it uploaded it, it set it all to Central Time. I've got it correct now. I'm not early. I just screwed up. That's all. I didn't realize it until I looked down. I was like, why is it telling me I've got another like it's telling me 7:30, and and then I looked down at my clock on my computer. I was like, oh, see, I reinstalled my operating system today. And whenever I did, I didn't readjust everything. Womp, womp, womp. And so she's saying, by the court rejecting professional, educated experience and assistance of effective standby counsel to and for the defendant in preparation and production of her rightful defense, results may be adverse from the unfair, disadvantaged, depressed circumstances to properly thrive in her forced position by the court of pro se. No, you're just a pro se defendant. You're not a pro se attorney in representation of self. You're not a pro se attorney. You are a pro se defendant, which pro se means that you are your own attorney and this is something that you chose. You don't know how I can read this? You sure as hell can. Well, I've had lots of opportunity. Her handwriting is much better than mine. I guarantee it. Well, then she has more practice at it. I mean, she writes, 30 pages? I think it's 30 pages, something like that of this. Of course, it could have been done much better. You just write smaller. Examples of said unfair burdens, limitations, deprivations, inaccessibilities, and unequal opportunities include the defendant has not received from the court to date of this motion, any of her promised discovery or case-related materials submitted by a former attorney to the court during the unannounced hearing on 6/28/2024. Oh, well, it takes a while for these documents to get to you. Within only 4 days to submit my demands and motions delegated by the court on or before 7/22/2024. Now, isn't it amazing? That's when your hearing was. So it wasn't like you were unknowingly coming into your court date. So whenever she showed up in court and said, I had no idea this was going to happen. Yes. Apparently you did, because this is when your court date was. The defendant hasn't reviewed from the court. We'll just hide that. Before, the defendant hasn't reviewed from the court or to date of this motion any of her promised discovery or case-related materials submitted by the former attorney to the court during the unannounced hearing on 6/28/2024. Well, that's because you were being a twatopotamus. I guess that's the best description of it. I like that word, twatopotamus. With only 4 days to submit my demands and motions delegated by the court before, I had to be there, the defendant does not have access to a computer. Yep. The defense does not have access to the internet. Yep. The defendant has extremely limited irregular access to basic tablets supplied by OCCD. Yep. That's what incarcerated means. If you want to avoid these problems, don't get incarcerated. And if you do get incarcerated, get a damn attorney. And don't give them a hard time. Be just fine, sweetheart. Defendant has access to pay phones for collect calls only, limited to 15 minutes each call. Yep. Defendant does not have access to organizational supplies or production equipment, copier, printer, etc. Oh, well. Defendant doesn't have access to a meeting place for privacy and case review preparations. Yep. Additional daily obstructions and undetermined hardships, disadvantages, difficulties will likely come about due to being incarcerated. Well, the judge told you that this was going to happen. He said, you keep screwing around and this is what will happen. Yeah, you have no idea how difficult it's going to get until it gets difficult. And then it's all of a sudden difficult. Taz, thank you so much. That was so kind of you to donate to the super chat. I got a little bit of something for you. I know. You're saying, oh, don't do it for me. I just can't help it. Just can't help it. Nice. Thank you, Taz. I appreciate you so much. It's so kind of you. Can't wait for the trial. I hope it's as funny as Brooks. Oh, it's going to be funnier. Yeah. I guess you and Sarah are both dealing with the product of your actions and actions. Just kidding. Denise. Yes, that is exactly what happened to me today, Denise. Reinstall an operating system. Well, like I said, I'm not going to complain about it. Hey, Terry Ham, good to see you. Pam Graham, good to see all you fine folks come rolling on in. I don't know how you can. Oh, I can. Oh, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public what? Public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and be informed of the nature of the cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory. Now, let's break this down, okay? You gave up your right to a speedy trial. Okay? Besides, if they did a speedy trial, you wouldn't have time to prepare. You would be asking for an extension. Sorry, we know that your peers are a bunch of barflies, but that you're not going to get tried by a jury of your peers. But it will be a jury nonetheless. To have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor. That's already been handled. And to have assistance of counsel for his defense. Well, that's absolutely right. Except you effed around too much. So there's also statutes that supersede that, which you blew right into. So you thought you were having fun. You thought it was gonna work out for you, and guess what? It backfired on you. You come running up to somebody that's twice as big as you and more powerful, and you start throwing punches. and you expect them not to hit you? Just because they're bigger, more powerful? No, it's not how it happens. Right to counsel is assured by the Sixth Amendment. Yeah, we already know all this. So you're going to read all the law here. And of course, each stage of the criminal proceedings process, right to counsel applies whether the defendant can afford to hire an attorney or not, which in case the court will appoint one without charge of the defendant, which they did 7 times. And you still took advantage of the court's graciousness, costing the taxpayers who knows how much money in the process. Waiver of counsel is in a criminal's defense, refusal of counsel at any stage in the criminal process. I've never refused. You refused by your actions. See, there's the thing. You refused by your action. It is made by a person with full capacity, unprepared, that is unknowing and voluntarily forced, and that clearly and unequivocally rejects representation or assistance by an attorney at law during the pending proceedings. But you also have to remember here, sweetheart, you can read the law dictionary. Law dictionary isn't going to tell you shit. Just saying. It gives you ideas, but that's not what you need to be looking at. Telling you. Reading the law dictionary just gives you the definition. Okay? That's a dictionary. Here's the problem, sweetheart. The judge warned you multiple times. And see, these are things that she won't be able to defend herself for in court. Sarah needs Judge Grudge. He gives legal advice. Well, no, that would be a bad thing. That would be a really bad thing. Because it wouldn't surprise me if Judge Grudge would, go and get a little bit of in the back room or something. I don't know. Just saying, Judge Grudge got some issues. He'd be very studious to her. This judge has done very well in explaining he's no nonsense and he's not going to play around. And this is what Sarah needs to have happen. She needs to have someone tell her no. Because apparently she hasn't been told enough. Okay? There's also statutes in Florida law that will tell her, no, you have your right to counsel. But at some point in time, you've become a difficult litigant. And nobody can represent you. Because you've made it difficult for them to represent you. And at that point, well, guess what? Now you're representing yourself. You were warned multiple times. You didn't listen. And now it's time to find out what happens. Defendant decision to waive their right to counsel must not only be competent, but also knowing and voluntarily. Yes. And that's what it was. As I said, the judge told you, behave. We're not playing this game where you run through counsel. We're not playing this game. Nobody wants to work with you, Sarah, because you're difficult. And we've had multiple attorneys that are used to difficult people. And whenever we say difficult, we mean extremely difficult. And you've made it even worse than that. So nope. No counsel for you. The right to waive counsel forced by the court. No, you forced it upon yourself. Is the tight knowing. Is the right knowingly to proceed in ignorance. That is your problem. It is sufficient for the purposes of both the state and federal constitutions that the record taken in its entirety shows that the defendant comprehends that a waiver of counsel means that they will proceed into the labyrinth of the law without the assistance of trained guide. Yep. And the judge warns you multiple times about this. See, the judge, he doesn't even have to read this. I mean, judge doesn't read this. In case she doesn't know, because whenever she files something like this, all that matters is what the defense filed or what the prosecution filed, and they can file a response to it. I mean, they've got 10 days, something like that, to file a response. So they will file a response, and she's about to find out what happened. So she's saying the trial was a farce or a mockery of justice or was shocking to the conscience of the reviewing court, or the purported representation was only perfunctory in bad faith, a sham, a pretense, or without adequate opportunity per conference. Okay. And preparation. You had plenty of time to prepare. You've had years. And at every turn, you've been giving attorneys a hard time. Now, think about this here, sweetheart. The amount of time that you spent in jail, you probably could have gone through law school and passed the bar. But you're too stupid to be able to do that, apparently, according to your writings. Because you're not getting it in here between your ears. Ineffective counsel is both a standard of inadequate performance for a lawyer and a criminal representation of a failure to due process of the law. Criminal defendant. Doesn't matter what she says here. All she's doing is quoting what the things are. I mean, we already know what those are. Due to ineffective assistance, it doesn't matter. Florida Council, Constitution. Oh, now she's going to read Florida Constitution. Basic rights of natural persons, female and male alike, are equal before the law and inalienable rights, among which they have the right to enjoy and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Well, tell that to the person that you murdered. Or allowed to die. Depends on which way you look at it. I mean, could have been anything. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Cynthia. I'm glad you enjoy the late afternoon stream. Section 4, freedom of speech and press. And here's what you need to pay attention to, because whenever you're complaining about how those people know, every person may speak, write, and publish sentiments on all subjects, but shall be responsible for the abuse of that right. No law shall be passed to retention or abridge the liberty of speech or of the persons in all criminal prosecutions and civil actions for defamation. The truth may be given in evidence. If the matter charged or defamatory is true and was published with good motives, the defendant writing truthful, lawful letters to the court requesting help with dysfunctions of the attorneys, then defendant is unlawfully forced to forfeit her right to counsel from lies, misinterpretations, and ineffectiveness from those former attorneys. Retaliation from the court and party defendant shall be exonerated, given appointed counsel. That's not what exonerated means there, sweetheart. Section 5, right to assemble. Okay. It has nothing to do with it. Section 9, due process, shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, or be twice put in jeopardy for the same offense. That's right. You haven't been so far. So far there. Sarah's case does give new meaning to case. Do you have a full-size case? Carry on, makeup, etc. Damn, Denise. That's awesome. That's good. I like that. We got a carry-on case. It's a manlet. Section 16, rights of accused. In all criminal prosecution, accused shall, upon demand, be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. You have been. And shall be furnished a copy of the charges. You have been. See, that's the thing. See, now all those little documents that you got, all those papers, yeah, they're in there. More than likely, I would say this attorney put everything for discovery, probably has it bookmarked, has it just in a perfect line for everything. Or a train case, well, it could be a carriage case. Well, it could be a cigarette case, depends on how big you are. Have the right to have compulsory processes for witnesses to confront at trial adverse witnesses to be heard in person by counsel or both, and have a speedy and public trial by impartial jury in the county where the crime was committed. Yeah, we know this. It's just digging a little bit deeper into what the main law is. Of course, I don't need to read the 14th Amendment because that's what you're just writing out what the law is. Okay, sweetheart. if you're going to write a legal brief, if you're going to write something like this, at least have a meaning behind it. Serious. Because quoting all of this stuff verbatim doesn't do a damn bit of good unless you can show where this applies to your case. Just throwing up constitutional law and case law and all this kind of crap isn't going to do crap for you. I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you right now, I'm definitely not this ignorant that I would sit there and say, oh, well, let me just write down word for word what the 14th Amendment says and what the 13th Amendment says and what the 5th Amendment says and what the 6th Amendment says. And these are all my rights. Well, how does that apply here? Writing down what everybody already knows does nothing to argue your case. So the term due process, we already know what that is. The accused shall not be deprived. Okay. We know requires timely notice. It's vain to give the accused a day in court with no opportunity to prepare for it or to guarantee him counsel without giving the latter any opportunity to acquaint himself with the facts of law of the case. But you're not an attorney. Like, you sort of done this to yourself. Sorry about that. Damn people giving me a hard time coming in, texting me crap. I don't care what Nikki Haley says or does, and don't care what Donald Trump is saying or doing. Don't give anything. That would be another case. That would be a head in a bucket. Who attacks her lawyer in the courtroom? Yeah. Wow. Verbally assaults. Okay, so it's great. It's a true and great inexcusable delay in the okay, we know what the law is. So all she's doing is writing down the law without making any sort of case. Okay? Just reading a book and writing this crap down doesn't do any good. Okay, all right. And that's more of this. Refuse to hereby, if reasonable, may be doubted that such a refusal. Okay, let's see if she's got anything good here. Okay, this is just what's written in the law. Okay, pointing to the fact that the right to counsel is secured by the 6th Amendment relates only to criminal prosecution. Judge said, but it is equally true that the provision was inserted in the Constitution because the assistance of counsel was recognized as essential to any fair trial in a case against a prisoner. Ex parte Riggins, whatever. Case numbers. A case involving the due process clause of the 14th Amendment, the court said, was by illustration that the state should deprive a person of benefit of counsel. It would not be due process of law. Judge Cooley refused to the right of a person accused of a crime to have counsel as perhaps his most important privilege, and after discussing the development of the law upon the subject says, with it's a universal principle of constitutional law that the prisoner shall be allowed defense by counsel. Yes, but see, you can argue that all day, but the prosecution is going to argue the absolute opposite because there's precedent in that. And the precedent is much, much more valuable than that. And that's part of the law that's already been written in. But because you don't know this, I don't know what, I couldn't quote it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but there is precedent on this, and that's why whenever somebody acts the way that she's been doing, that she's showing herself to be a pro se defendant. No different than Darrell Brooks, no different than Dorn, no different than any other Sovsit. So this is on her. Judge explained it to her multiple times. We ain't playing. Like, this is going to be the court date. You're going to be prepared. If you fire your attorney, then that's just on you. You fired your attorney by your actions. The necessity of counsel was so vital and imperative that the failure of the trial court to make an effective appointment of counsel was, there's already one in the books that'll go against this. And she's just quoting more stuff. And Hendricks, there's going to quote more stuff. Let us suppose the extreme case of a prisoner charged with a capital offense, unable to employ counsel with the whole power of the state arrayed against him, prosecuted by counsel for the state without assignment of counsel for his defendant, tried, convicted, and sentenced to death. But here's the thing, you were provided counsel multiple times. Watched it yesterday, and all she did was complain she couldn't have everything she wanted. Exactly. And this is her problem. You can't always get what you want, but you find sometimes if you stuff your behind in a suitcase, you don't want to zip it up. Sorry, I guess that was a little too soon. Yeah, she's as a result, which if carried into execution would be like a little short of a judicial murder, it cannot be doubted, would be gross violation of the guarantee of due process of law. You can quote all this stuff, but here's the thing, sweetheart. You were provided counsel. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, not 6 times, not 7 times, but I believe it got up to 8 or 9, something like that. At some point, they're gonna call you out and they're gonna say, okay, enough. It's time to poo-poo or get off the pot. And apparently she did not want to poo-poo, so she's getting off the pot. The legislative has become thoroughly, it doesn't matter. You're just quoting stuff that doesn't matter. In a very long line of cases includes Powell v. Alabama. Okay, that one was overturned. The Fifth Amendment, including counsel clause. Okay, you're bitching about not having counsel. And another one about not having counsel. There is a fair trial in which evidence subject to adversary. More quoting law. More quoting law does not do you any good. Got a person that happens to be a lawyer present. More quoting law. Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Section 44. Right to an appointment of counsel. Right to appointment. Okay. Doesn't matter. We can go through all of these, but you've not made any notes. So she's just going down through and copying verbatim what is in a book. That's it. Okay. I'm not even going to read it because she's just basically repeating herself over and over and again. Society acts to deprive one of its own. And then she's got the Supreme Court. Oh, she's got the Supreme Court. Oh, one of its members of its life, liberty, and property. It must be awesome steps. Sweetheart, this is what the judge told you. You were warned. This is not doing anything but wasting time. Okay, so finally, after she's quoted all of this legal crap that none of it bears any relevance to her issue. I mean, it's a nice try, but it doesn't bear any relevance to it whatsoever. Wherefore, Salabon, pro se indigent defendant, respectfully requests to the Honorable Court to provide immediate relief to defendant by appointing an effective standby counsel to aid and support in preparation of her criminal case for a trial. Oh, sweetheart, this is how it goes. The defendant is requesting collaboration, correct understanding, and overall perspective of her extraordinary circumstances by rendering her cognitive incapacities, procedural inabilities, and extremely limited capabilities altogether as fact, and concluding a remedy of assistance is rightfully needed to be provided to the defendant by the court. Sorry, sweetie, you're not going to get what you want. Appointment of vital standby counsel will lessen greatly her probabilities of further loss, damage, and spoliation of depression in a criminal case. Fair and equal proposition by fair and equal opportunity also will be greatly enhanced. Well, you sort of screwed the pooch on this one here, darling. Defendant's requests are in good faith and her merits are worthy in a striving to successfully, lawfully, and properly perform, act, thrive, and overcome her forced by the court position of the pro se attorney and her representation of self. My conclusion is this motion for immediate relief to defendant by appointing effective standby counsel to aid and support the preparation of her case for trial should be granted. Oath. Under the authority, and she's going to declare that everything she stated are true. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone. Certificate of service. I have hereby certificated that original of this document has been filed via U.S. mail with the clerk of the court of the 9th Judicial Clerk, and therefore delegated due by the judge in the court and the clerk of courts. And this is how I'm mailing it out to you. And here's even my envelope that I mailed it to you in. Slowly getting ready for your trip in the morning. Oh, sounds good. Sounds good. Detroit area here. I'm your southern border neighbor. Hello, neighbor. How are you? Oh boy. Well, so it is that's part one. We have a part two. Any questions? Am I getting this through to you all? She screwed herself. The judge explained it to her multiple times. That hand was writing though. Wish mine looked as nice as that. Damn. I agree, you know? I mean, I'm not an attorney, but even I know that she screwed the pooch whenever the judge told her on multiple occasions, stop screwing around. We're going to appoint you new counsel again. Why are you being difficult to work with? Stop being ignorant. You stop doing that, you'd be surprised how much further this case would be moving along. I would hate to have been that attorney to have to listen to her go on and on and on. You explain it to her and I don't understand. Oh, I'm trying to remember I think it was like my very first babysitting job. I was like, 13, 14 years old. First babysitting job was just for one of my mother's friend's kids. And he was, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old. And he had this most annoying voice. And he would ask, you would tell him to do something. He'd go, why? Oh, because you need to have dinner. Why? Because you have to have food. Why? Are you asking me why? Because you don't know why? Why? So everything that he said, it wasn't even a question. It was just a statement. That's what Sarah reminds me of. That why? Like, does not even take the time to listen. Just goes, why? Don't understand why she doesn't want to use a computer. She has no availability to a computer. Okay? To do any sort of research. So no, you can have computer, no computer, no internet. You're pretty much there with your own thoughts. You're in jail, for Christ's sake. This is what happens. So now that she's been given a computer, she's going to complain about that. It's that why? I don't want to use a computer. I want somebody to help me. I want somebody else to help me. Somebody do something different. I don't want to do this. That's Sarah. It amazed me. She probably just bitched and moaned enough that dude just crawled in a suitcase and zipped it up and said, please make it stop. I mean, you know what a Jewish girl's favorite wine is, right? Serious. Jewish girl's favorite wine? Daddy, I want to go to Miami. Okay, that was funny. Sort of. Oh, I had a Jewish girl tell me that one. It was pretty funny. Where are we going for dinner? Where are we going for dinner? No. Daddy, I want to go to Miami. So, in the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial, this is the new one. Here we go. So this is her second pleading. Oh, you thought you were done. We've got a whole, 7 pages of this? Mm-hmm. So she's asking for temporary motion for reservation of proposed cost to acquire investigator for defendant's defense and trial. Comes now, Sarah Boone, pro se, indigent, blah, blah, blah. Investigator to be determined. Total amount requested to be determined. How to calculate unknown by defendant. Reason, no discovery or case materials provided to defendant from the judge. It's not the judge that provides it to you, sweetheart. That is provided to you by the court or your attorney. Your attorney is now having to provide all that, and then they don't have any way. See, dinner. This temporary motion is being submitted because my great-grandparents and mom's are from both Michigan and Ohio. Oh, wow. This temporary motion is being submitted by the meat, the MEEF? I don't know, submitted to the, I'm going to say meat, but the delegated due date of 7/22/24 by the judge in court as stated to the defendant in the order dated 6/28/2024. Defendant is trying to avoid any further prosecution and penalization from the judge in court, while vigorously attempting to succeed in her first position of pro se attorney and representation of self. The exceeded time limit of waiting to receive the defendant's discovery and case materials promised by the court has forced the submittal of this their temporary motion. Once the defendant has finally received, she will be able to proceed. Will revise and resubmit this motion upon completion of her review and research of the contents. Because if the contents don't say what I want it to say, I'm going to have to resubmit. Wherefore, Sarah Boone, pro se indigent defendant, respectfully request to the Honorable Court to reserve any and all costs proposed to be incurred to acquire investigators for and in the defense of her criminal case for trial. The defendant's requests are in good faith and her merits are worthy in striving to successfully, lawfully, and properly perform, act, thrive, and overcome her forced by the court position of pro se attorney and representation of own self. Blue and maize. Me? I don't care. Conclusion. This temporary motion for reservation of proposed costs to acquire investigator for the defendant's defense and trial should be granted. And I'm going to make a little oath here. And of course, I'm going to give that their certificate of service. And of course, this is my next case. So I mailed you 2 cases, okay? Two. This is case number 2, like dose, like more than one. Inner Circuit Court, temporary motion for reservation of proposed costs to acquire expert witnesses. I need some expert witnesses by the judge in court as stated to defendant on 6/28/2024. Defense is trying to avoid any further persecution and penalization from the judge and the court while vigorously attempting to succeed in her forced position of pro se attorney and representation of self. Sweetheart, you are not a pro se attorney. You are just a pro se defendant. The exceeded time limit of waiting to receive the defendant's discovery and case materials promised by the court has forced the submittal of this temporary motion. Once the defendant has finally received, she will be able to proceed. Will revise and resubmit this motion upon completion of her review and research of the contents. Not just little contents, but big contents also. I will take my boat and move to another continent. Therefore, Sal Boone, pro se indigent defendant, respectfully requests to the Honorable Court to reserve any and all costs proposed to be incurred to acquire expert witnesses for and in the defense of a criminal case for trial. Defendant requests on good faith and the merits are worthy and string to successfully, lawfully, and properly perform Act Rive. And here's a conclusion, which is this temporary motion. And my oath is that I'm quoting, I said everything this on my own, and here's my certificate of service. Hi. Well, now we're down to number 3. Because, 1 and 2 wasn't good enough. Now I'm going to give you number 3. Now, this is a temporary motion for the reservation of the proposed cost to acquire all witnesses for the defense and trial. Incontinent. Yes. See? Like dinner. Comes now, Sarah Boone Pro say indigent defendant respectfully requests from this court a reservation of proposed cost to acquire all witnesses needed for defendant's defense trial. Witness to be determined, total amount requested to be determined, how to calculate unknown by defendant, no discovery or case materials is provided by defendant from judge. The judge in court has stated to the defendant, order dated, the defendant is trying to avoid further persecution and penalization from the judge in court while vigorously attempting to succeed in her forced position of pro se attorney and representation of oneself. Now, the exceeded time limit of waiting to receive this other defendant's discovery and materials and promised by the court has forced the submittal of her temporary motion. Once the defendant has finally received, she will be able to proceed. We'll revise and resubmit this motion upon the completion of her review and research of the contents. Wherefore, Boone, pro se indigent defendant, respectfully requests to the Honorable Court to reserve any and all costs proposed to acquire all witnesses needed for the defendant defense in the trial of a criminal case. Defendant's requests are in good faith, and give some more of that bullshit hose. Now, I couldn't stop there because you needed some more of my rambling. Maybe she needs some fiber. Fiber. Yeah, she could use some fiber. She needs something. Wow, quite the difference. Temporary motion for the depositions to be conducted per pro rule 3.220 by defendant under pro se attorney, title and position ordered by the judge in court. What comes now, same slut as before. And, deponents to be determined, depositions to be determined, total amount to be determined, total amount for transcripts to be determined, how to calculate, unknown. Jeez Louise, why are you making me think? Judge in court, she's yelling now. She wasn't good enough that she was writing it small. Now she's saying reason is defendant has been forced into the title position of pro se attorney by the judge in court. Pro se attorney requests to take depositions for her defense. And no discovery or case materials have been provided to defendant by judge. Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure 3.220. Discover positions. Okay, now you're going to sit here and quote the damn law? We don't care. How does this apply to you? Okay. Nothing. All right, sanctions by the court. Sanction may include blah, 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 blah. Oh, you think you're going to go after the court? I doubt it. This temporary motion is being submitted to meet the delegated due date at 7/22/2024 by the judge in court, state and defense, and dated. Defendant is, here we go. Defendant is trying to avoid any further persecution and penalization from the judge and the court while vigorously attempting to succeed in her fourth position of pro se attorney and representation of self. Sweetheart, you're not a pro se attorney. You are a pro se defendant. Big difference. Because you are not attorney. You don't qualify as attorney. You have nothing to do with attorney. You are not an attorney. You're a defendant. Not a smart one at that either. Just changing the words doesn't change the meaning. And of course, the exceeded time limit of waiting to receive the defendant's discovery case materials promised by the court has forced the submittal of this upon the temporary motion. Once the defendant has finally received the will be able to proceed, will revise and resubmit this motion of her renew and research of the contents. Therefore, as I blabber on about some more bullshit that it doesn't really matter, I will give another oath, and I will sign it with my dirty, grubby fingers, and of course I have provided the certificate of service and the envelope. Do not, it's just nothing but pure BS. That's all that she has. Well, now you understand why her attorney said, "Boo, bitch, get out the way, get out the way." Isn't that what they said? Something like that. I think they said something like that. They said, we don't need no education. But guess what? The JA, okay, so you remember if in the last one he kept talking about the JA. That's the Justice Administrative, okay? So they're in charge of handling this stuff, is the administrative wing of this. They don't provide any law information. They just provide service. That's all that they do. Provide services to these ignorant people. I mean, indigent people. So that's what we're going to show next. This right here is their response to all of her shenanigans. A little small. Let me embiggen it real quick here. Give me just a second. I'll embiggen it so you can read. Oh, too embiggen. I mean, you see something like that come in your face. What do? So this here's in the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial in and for Orange County. It gives the defendant's name. It gives the prosecution's name. Comes now the JA Commission, or GAC. JAC. By and through undersigned attorney files this response to the above cited motions as follows. Defendant is seeking authorization for various due process costs as follows. Appointment of standby counsel to assist the defendant, costs to take deposition, unspecified amount for defense investigator, unspecified expert witness to assist the defense, costs for unspecified witnesses to appear at trial. As an initial concern, any future requests for due process costs, such as requests for transcripts, investigative costs, or experts, need to be served on Jack prior to the court considering the matter. The defendant is responsible for providing JAC with any motions for due process costs so that JAC can respond accordingly to those requests. Instead of just sending stuff to the judge, you should have reached out to JAC. And they can respond also. JAC may only pay for due process costs pursuant to these sections right here under the Florida statutes. Not hard to figure out. As directed by 27.425 Florida statutes and General Appropriations Acts, all due process services are subject to the Florida statutes and the JAC contract, policies, and procedures. JAC eject. Oh, well, I like how JAC says this. JAC objects to any compensation rate in excess of established rates. Amazing, huh? As for the appointment of standby counsel, the court entered an order on June 28th, 2024, finding the defendant waived her right to court-appointed counsel through her conduct in this matter. Amazing how that works out, isn't it? The judge said, stop screwing around, sweet cheeks. If you stop screwing around, you'll be fine. We'll get through this. But oh no, she had to say, we're not doing that. We're not doing that there. Miss Sarah Boone, she don't lay down and play dead. Oh no. Miss Sarah Boone, she's got to be a rabble rouser. She's smarter than you JAC sons of bucks. She's got you covered. We're going to take this into our own hands. Well, standby counsel. So they've already covered item number 4. Now they're going to cover item number 5. As for the appointment of standby counsel, the court entered an order on June 28, 2024, finding the defendant waived her right to court-appointed counsel through her conduct in this matter. Thus, the court has already ruled on the issue of appointed counsel. 6. Deposition-related costs. As for the cost to take deposition, the defendant is authorized to incur costs to take depositions for those depositions authorized under the Florida Rules of Criminal Procedure. The notice of taking deposition substitutes for a court order for purposes of the court reporter seeking compensation for appearance fees. Good, but don't slosh too much. Staying hydrated from staying close to the bathroom. Well, there you go. Slosh around. Slosh. As for service of process, service must be through the sheriff unless the sheriff is unable or unavailable to provide service of process. In those instances where private service of process is necessary, a separate motion to incur costs for a private process server will be required. The sheriff must be used to serve in county law enforcement. As for transcripts, JAC has no objection to regular paid rates. The motion and order for transcripts must reflect sufficient information to identify the proceedings to be transcribed, such as the type and date of hearing, date and type of hearing, and recording type and date of recording. The defendant should only order those transcripts necessary for defense of the case. 9. The uniform statewide rates are set forth in the General Appropriations Act. Court reporting services cannot exceed those rates. Yeah, don't get no water toxicity. That's pretty bad. Private investigator costs. Pursuant to the uniform statewide rates, the rates for investigators cannot exceed $50 per hour. That sucks, dude. That sucks. That sucks bad. I feel for investigators that are doing something for the court. You will get rammed. You're late, but couldn't get out of your head. Thanks, Susie. We don't need no thought control, no dark sarcasm in the classroom. Teacher, leave them kids alone. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone. If the court grants the motion, order needs to be indicated the amount authorized for a defense investigator based on the docket. It appears Prison Break Investigations Billy Lane may have already been appointed to this matter. JAC does not object to the court authorizing $5,000 for a defense investigator and $500 for the investigator to obtain case-related documents and materials on behalf of the defendant. Based on JAC records, the court previously approved $3,000 at a rate of $200 per hour for a defense mental health expert. JAC does not object to the court continuing this authorization. Now the defendant is representing herself. As to the other request for other experts, the defendant will need to file an appropriate motion delineating the following: identity or type of expert, amount authorized for expert services, and 3, rate authorized for the expert services. Yeah, that you're not going to get a perfect answer for your thing. Sucks to be in jail, but that's what happens. Defendant has the burden to show the particularized need for such experts. Defendant needs to show the services of the expert is necessary for the defense of the case. As enunciated by the Florida Supreme Court, a party seeking due process cause has a burden to establish particularized need. So, this is how you write a legal brief. I think maybe it was a slap in the face to her. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking they looked at her and they said, "Sweet cheeks, sweet cheeks. This is how you're supposed to write a brief." So the party seeking due process cause has the burden to establish a particularized need for the due process service and a prejudice arising from the denial of the due process service, and then points out the statutes that cover this. That's what you're supposed to do. Now, this here determination whether to appoint an expert is within the we know about broads, discretion of the trial court. An indigent defendant must show the trial court that there exists a reasonable probability both that an expert would be of assistance to the defense and that denial of expert assistance would result in a fundamentally unfair trial. Andrews v. State, 243, Southern District of 3rd, 899 Florida, something or more versus Kemp, or something of that sort. Costs. Ordinary witnesses. The defendant will need to submit a more detailed motion delineating the witnesses she seeks to summon for the trial and anticipated costs associated with them witnesses. Now, there is also a requirement for JAC due process contract, and that provides desired direct payment. The JAC's procedure requires the vendor to execute the appropriate contract and follow JAC's billing and audit procedures to obtain their payment. Because of the unusual circumstances presented in this matter, JAC requests to participate in the hearing set on August 5th, 2024. JAC requests to appear through communications equipment and can be reached toll-free at this number. Wherefore, the JAC requests, should the court grant defendants motions, will also include in its orders of specific due process services authorized, as well as hourly or per unit rates and maximum fees authorized, and that the provider shall be paid in accordance with rates, terms, and conditions set forth by Florida statutes and the JAC contract, policies, and the procedures. Other words, Sarah, you're screwed. Don't aspirate. Don't aspirate, Shizzy. Don't aspirate. No. Yeah, she screwed herself. This is why you had counsel. You had counsel that was there to help you out, and you jacked around long enough that the judge was like, "All right, we're through. You've gone through enough counts." Some of those, granted, they couldn't help you because there would have been a conflict of interest because they've represented the state in other cases against you, because you're not a nice person, Sarah. You know, try not being an asshole for a little while. You'd be surprised how far that can get you, not being an asshole. I think she's incapable of not being an asshole. That is the problem. She has a very hard time of behaving herself. We hope that people behave. I mean, that's sort of the goal. here in all of this is, you know, don't be a butt. Sorry, using your microphone. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's what happens whenever you take a shot and it hits right there in the rough spot where you're just like, oh, that's not good. That's gonna leave a mark. Gonna leave a bad mark. But these are the issues that you run into with these kinds of stupid moves that they've been making. And that's exactly what she did. She made stupid moves, and now she's paying the price for those stupid moves. It sucks. It really does. It really sucks that this is the kind of shenanigans that people play. But the judge warned her multiple times, stop effing around. What was that? You told your ex-husband once that just because you have one doesn't mean you have to act like one. I love it. We only live 5 minutes from each other. That's pretty awesome, Taz. That's pretty damn awesome. No, there's certain things that whenever you're dealing with play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and that's exactly what she managed to do. She managed to play stupid games, won stupid prizes. Now she's suffering for it, and now she wants to cry even more. Well, sweetheart, if you could have behaved just for a short bit of time, just long enough that an attorney could have represented you, you wouldn't be running into this issue. And that's just how it goes. I hate it for you. I hate it for you, Dal. Really. But it's not hard to avoid doing bad things. With her. Not with her. Oh my God. What do we got? Oh boy. I don't want to watch that. That's horrible. That's horrible. Why? What? I had no idea. Wonder if this is, oh yeah. This is something I wanted to show you guys. So this is, there was an undercover sting that happened in Florida. Okay. I think maybe I'll just have to place to begin with Taz. All right. We've got, I started covering a little bit more of the stuff going on in Florida, and it wasn't just because of what the hell. So this is something I've been working on for the past, I don't know, about 6 months. I wanted to start covering like Florida man, just the craziness that comes out of Florida. Nothing but Florida, no other state, just straight up Florida stuff. And Sarah Boone sort of gave that opportunity to be able to do that. And I was like, well, damn, this is like, I'm going to have to dig into these a little bit more, because I mean, this is just a small part of what I do. Hey, Wanda, how you doing? Good to see you. Oh my God. I'm starting to get a cold. Hold on just a second. I got a dog scratching my door. It means we got storms rolling in. Hold on. Sorry about that. Puppies come rolling in. They're just like, we got storms. Let me in. You just need your own camera, don't you? He thinks he's something. He thinks he's hot something. I don't know about that. You'll just see him laid out there. Get that camera set up. I could set one up tonight. We won't do that tonight. That would just take too much time. I'll have to get one set up where I just show him. Just nothing but a picture of him just chilling out. So you guys can just watch him. Oh my God. He's just got that look on his face, like, huh? What you on about, homie? All right. So, like I said, I was gonna start covering a little bit more of the Florida man stuff, and this falls right into that particular area. All right, here we go. This is an interesting one, so pay close attention.
Morning again for gentlemen. Come on over here. A couple of you come over here.
Get over here, boy.
Why don't a handful of you come on this side too? Thank you for our media partners coming here today. A couple points of housekeeping. First of all, as Denise said, I'm Hernando County Sheriff Al Nienhuis. It is spelled Nienhuis, and it is pronounced Nienhuis.
Nienhuis.
As we said, we have a couple speakers here today. I know there may be another topic you all may want to talk about. But what I'd like to do is get through this planned press conference, kind of have a hard stop, and then maybe I'll talk a little bit about another issue that may or may not be on your minds.
Nice.
Before I also go any further, I want to thank, he couldn't be here today, he had another obligation. I want to say
Wow.
a special word of thanks to our state senator, Blaise Ngolia. Not only was he involved in the initial briefing for this operation,
Wow, Taz. Can't figure out how the lady driving a pickup, how she did not see 30 bikers. Trust me. There's people that are absolutely just they don't pay any attention. Yeah, whenever that was one of the first things I learned on a motorcycle was you better be paying attention, because I guarantee you the other people aren't. Like, seriously, and I've known some people that take some pretty bad spills on bikes, and I'm sorry for that, man. That sucks. Oh man, lost his legs. Prayers for the healing. Absolutely. Jeez Louise.
he has spearheaded some additional resources for law enforcement to do these types of human trafficking investigations, and we certainly appreciate that, because as you may see as we go through, these can be very resource intensive, but nonetheless extremely important for the safety of our children. We actually started this operation not too long ago, July 17th, a few days ago, and it went through Monday, July 22nd, this last Monday. It was all centered here in Hernando County, and most of the operation occurred here at the Sheriff's Office. We did have several other agencies assisting us. We had the Central Florida ICAC Task Force, which is Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. I think there were individuals from St. Pete Police Department and Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office involved in that. We did have the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, who.
So this is about trafficking, human trafficking. Okay, so if this affects you in any sort of way, then I would suggest muting it. But this is important stuff. This is news. So YouTube, don't be pains in the buttses, in the backsides, because this is news. This is not anything that other people hadn't seen already before. And, you know, it may cause people to love to hear where you came up with your moniker. Well, that's pretty easy. I can tell you that one in like less than 5 minutes. Where I came up with it, Shizzy Wiznut. This is a good story, so I'll get a little personal with you guys here. I'll drop this down for just a second. This one you'll like. This one you'll like, right? So a buddy of mine in my old neighborhood, he used to race Ducati motorcycle. Okay, he is a pretty good racer. Never was like the world champ or anything like that, but he raced motorcycles. And every Saturday they would go to the track, they would run their motorcycles, and he would win. He worked for a really notable place in trying to think where the hell it was, in Cobb County, Marietta, that's where he got his start at, was working on those particular motorcycles. Well, in working on those motorcycles, he gained those skills and ended up racing bikes, and then started working on friends' bikes. Okay. Started working on those, and as he went through working on those, he was still continuing to race, and then he opened up his own motorcycle shop. His own motorcycle shop is in Tucker. It is called MSP Motorcycle. His name is Rodney Burr. Really nice guy. So Rodney one day was coming back from a race. And of course, they load up their motorcycles, usually on a trailer, sometimes in the back of a truck, but usually on a trailer. Comes rolling in, and they stopped off at a gas station, or not a gas station, but a restaurant to grab a bite to eat on their way back. And as they're kicking back there, this old black guy comes walking in. Not very old, probably about my age, but comes rolling in and looks at the guys that are wearing their leathers, because they just got done racing. So some of them you could tell who owned the motorcycles. They didn't quite fit in. He comes over and he sits down. He goes, "You mind me sitting down here?" So Rodney told me the story. The old guy sits down. He goes, "Oh, what kind of motorcycles you got?" "Oh, we've got those Ducatis out there." He goes, yeah, those things are pretty nice. He goes, so who does the work on your motorcycle?" And they say, "Well, we do the work on our own motorcycles. We own a motorcycle shop." "Oh, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet." He goes, "You know what? And he names off the motorcycle. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but he goes, "So my mechanic, he's got that thing tuned up. He's got it diagnosed out. That thing there is the shizzy whiz nut." Now, whenever he told me this story, I couldn't help but laugh. I laughed really hard. I thought it was damn funny. And the name stuck with me in my head. And so whenever I was playing Call of Duty, I used Lobo was the name that I used whenever I was playing. Just, it was an easy name to remember. People could easily say, "Oh, Lobo, what's up?" Whenever you'd come into a chat and stuff like that, they knew who you were. Well, whenever I started playing a different game, I started playing World of Warplanes. A buddy of mine turned me on to World of Tanks. I didn't really like World of Tanks. It was a little... So I started playing World of Warplanes, and that was just the name that I used. And whenever I used that name, turns out there was somebody else using almost identically the same name. And so they would come after me because this guy was a real butthead. And I was like, why? I mean, they got me really good at the video game, but I was just like talking with someone in a private chat, like sort of, just one of those little, sort of like Discord. And I started talking with them, and they're just like, "You know why everybody's always after you?" I was like, "No, I have no idea." There's another gamer by the name of Lobo. There's a real ass to everyone, and they think you're him. And I said, "Well, damn it. This isn't good. I'm going to have to change my name." And I came up with, 50 different names. They're like, that doesn't fit. That doesn't fit. And that name stuck with me. That Shizzy Wiznut stuck with me. And so I ended up using that as a gaming name. Whenever I used that as a gaming name, there was a lot of people that were like, and I was just like, "Oh, they'll probably call me Nuts or something like that." I didn't know what the hell. And everyone started calling me Shizzy. It was really easy to remember. And so it just sort of stuck. And so whenever I started doing the YouTube thing, I said, "Well, what name can I use?" And I was like, "Well, might as well use one that I'm used to everybody saying, so I know whenever somebody's responding to me." And so I started using Shizzy. Started using Shizzy Wiznut. That's where it came from. It's just sort of like, saying it's an homage to an old black gentleman that rode motorcycles, thought his motorcycle was the Shizzy Wiznut. So that's where I got the name from. So there you go. Pretty neat. Nothing spectacular. It's a good story. But yeah, it's easy to remember. Hey, no problem. No problem. I enjoy it. I enjoy it, Denise. I mean, I would use my real name, but there's too many people that know who I am. And and I'm easily found. Scary. So let's get back onto this child
I'm going
trafficking
to say a
thing.
few words afterwards. Department of Homeland Security assisted us.
Yes, she
And,
does.
The Fifth Judicial Circuit State Attorney's Office,
Yeah, she
Glass's
does.
office, were involved from the very, very beginning. These investigations, because they are very sensitive and very complex, we do get the state attorney involved from the very get-go, because we certainly don't want to go through these investigations and leave any stone unturned or any T that's not crossed or any I that's not dotted. So we certainly appreciate their
Would be cool.
assistance in conducting the investigations. Now, what this investigation was
pretty cool.
undercover detectives posing as juveniles between 11 and 15 years of age.
Ooh.
And through the internet, they were either solicited or enticed by individuals listed on our board, which we'll show here in a minute, to engage in sexual conduct. They either did it through payment, actually prostitution type stuff, or through just casual encounters. The individuals that we did end up arresting all admitted post-Miranda to their involvement, including the conversations to engage in sexual conduct with the minors they believe they were communicating with.
Nice.
We had a total of 8 individuals who were arrested as a result of this operation. They were arrested for charges that included human trafficking,
Ooh.
attempted lewd and lascivious battery, traveling to meet a minor to engage in sexual conduct,
Thank you.
battery,
Thank you,
and
Taz.
unlawful use of a two-way communication device.
Ooh.
Now, these individuals, and ironically,
Ironically.
we, of course, go into these things really hoping that we work very hard and nobody is willing to take us up on our offer. But we're also realists and know that there are pretty evil people out there that are willing and able and definitely attempt to do some of the most disgusting things that you can imagine as adults here in Hernando County. Unfortunately, 8 out of the 8 individuals that were arrested, 6 of them actually traveled from inside Hernando County.
Wow.
So they didn't even have to come from outside the county. There were a couple of them from outside the county. I think one was Plant City, I believe. We'll get into that in a minute. And another one was from another area not too far away. These individuals were arrested over the course of this investigation, and I know there were some things brought up about maybe some booking photos not going online immediately, and that was done obviously for operational reasons.
Right.
These type of individuals that are engaged in this type of activity is
They
a
know
very
each other.
tight-knit group of criminals.
Ooh.
And they talk to each other, they know each other, and for us to put their booking photos up with what actually occurred might have hurt the investigation over the several days that we were doing it. So we kept that information secret till the conclusion of the investigation. And our first individual that we want to talk a little bit about today is Juan Romano. He is born in 2005, and he is one of the ones that traveled from outside the county. He came from Plant City.
Wow.
This individual was charged with traveling to meet a juvenile after the use of a computer to lure that child, and of course the use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony. We did seize his vehicle. I instructed my people, as we typically do when we have serious crimes, to take away the fruits of those crimes or things that were used, instrumentalities in those crimes. And so hopefully if this person does get out of jail anytime soon and decides he wants to travel to meet another minor for sexual activity, he's going to have a little bit more difficult time traveling without his vehicle.
Damn.
The next individual is Sean Doulier. He was born in 1998. He actually
Sean
left his
Doulier?
job at a local establishment
Looks like Dooley.
here in the county to meet a minor.
Jeez.
His vehicle was also seized, and he was charged with travel to meet a minor after use of a computer to lure that child.
Wow.
He was also charged with use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony. So again, he was a local individual. The next person was Eric DeGaudio. He was born in 1972. He was actually a door dasher, and he battered one of our Hernando County Sheriff's Office undercover detectives who was staged as a decoy by actually grabbing her inappropriately. He's charged with human trafficking, use of a two-way communication device, again, to facilitate a felony, attempted lewd and lascivious battery, as well as the battery on the undercover deputy.
Man, oh man.
The next individual is Jerry Barrios. He was born in 1984. He's the owner of New York's finest barbershop here locally. We also seized his vehicle. He's charged with human trafficking, use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony, and attempted lewd and lascivious battery.
Yeah, stay
The
safe.
next individual is Troy Hartman. Mr. Hartman was born in 1962. He actually arrived in his Verizon work truck on his way to a repair cell tower rather.
Damn.
He's charged with human trafficking, use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony, and attempted lewd and lascivious battery. Jared Alamo, he left.
It looks like Alamo.
He left. This one's sad. He actually left his 2-year-old at home with his sister-in-law to commit this crime. He's born in 2000. He's charged with human trafficking, use of a two-way communication device in the furtherance of a felony, and attempted lewd and lascivious.
2-year-old just left the 2-year-old at home.
And last instance,
Go do this crap. What the hell?
The next one is Jeremy. Thank you, Bill. Jeremy Burke. He's born in 1993. He was charged with soliciting a child for unlawful sexual conduct using a computer and use of a two-way communication device to facilitate a felony. This individual was picked up at the conclusion of our operation. And then last and certainly not least here is James Brand. He's actually a registered sex offender.
Jeez.
He was arrested in Pasco County. He had prior arrests for traveling to meet a minor, and it was captured actually by a vigilante group last year in Pasco County after attempting to travel to meet a minor again. Again, those charges are pending in Pasco County for failing to register internet identifiers. He was charged with soliciting a child for unlawful sexual conduct using a computer and use of a communication device to facilitate a felony. Obviously, very serious charges for these individuals. These do take a tremendous amount of work, and we have.
Well, and he's not lying. That would take a tremendous amount of work to facilitate that. Now, here's the thing. You know, back in the day, you know, I still play games. I used to play online games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. And you knew whenever there was a kid on there, and you would just behave accordingly. You would just like, okay, you know, you got a child on here. You know, watch your language. Everybody, you know, behave. Don't call each other, you know, vile names, because this kid probably doesn't need to be hearing this. Although that was just the way that we ran our server. I could not imagine anyone reaching out to any one of those kids except to be like, hey, you know, this isn't the place for you, because we like to talk shit to each other constantly. So it was. And this is how a lot of these guys are doing this kind of stuff. And it's not just guys. Now they're just catching the guys that are traveling to go meet. Now there's women that are just as bad. I mean, we've seen, I don't know how many teachers that get in that position of power and they end up abusing their student. This was just a sting to catch guys that were out there trolling the interwebs, trying to hook up with children. Now I don't know how you would go about doing that or why you would want to do something like that. I mean, that just, to me, just makes no damn sense. Like, but this is what they got in trouble for. This is what they got arrested for. The sheriff's department put together a sting. So I can imagine that it took a lot of resources to get all of this put together. To have people be able to respond to these things, for people to take the calls, to get the things set up. I don't even know where one would even look for this kind of crap. So I don't know what all it would take, but I'm sure that the sheriff's department is going to let us know. I am so glad the coordination of all these agencies and the people is daunting. I'm glad there are people serving the world in these capacities. I wish they could do more. I wish they could hold these people for a hell of a lot longer, because they're getting out in a short period of time, and the chances are they're going to reoffend. I mean, that's the scary part about it. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, early 80s, where we just, hop on our bicycles, hell, 70s and 80s. Yeah, we just hop on our bicycles and be gone. I mean, just gone for the day. We'd all be hanging out with a bunch of friends. And this was before they had the stranger danger or any of that kind of, well, maybe they had it, but we didn't know anything about that stuff. But we didn't go and hang out in anybody's house. I mean, I guess our parents were like, if you're going to be over at somebody's house, you need to let us know where you're at. Like, because we might end up over at one of our friends' house for like lunch or something like that. But, if we didn't come home for lunch, parents wanted to know that we weren't coming home for lunch, and we just give them a call, or we'd swing by there on our way to the other friend's house and go, can we go to lunch at Jim's or whatever. But yeah, there was none of this. I share your opinion, ignorance of where to find these things. I mean, I'm sure if I went looking for it, I could find it, but why would I want to? Did I hitchhike? You did in the 70s? Well, no, I did not hitchhike in the 70s. I know there was some scary stuff happening to hitchhikers in the 70s, but yeah, that was not my thing. We had a red-rummed classmate in your Connecticut town, so stranger danger started early. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, we just didn't really have that. I think it wasn't until I'm trying to think the first time that something like this came to my attention. I would have had to been, 13 or 14. All right. About 13, 14. One of the guys I went to church with was really upset because he had this guy that he knew, like they were on the same swim team together. They hung out on a regular basis. It wasn't any big thing, but apparently a little girl disappeared, and they found her body in not great shape. And he was the last one with her. They saw him pulling her around in a red wagon, and it disturbed him so much that he was on the verge of just going and finding this guy and just deleting him. I mean, that's how much it disturbed him, because like he knew this guy, or he thought he knew this guy. And for him to have done this to an innocent little neighborhood girl that was, I think, all of like 5 or 6, it was something that really disturbed him. And that was the first time I ever heard of that. I'd never heard of anything like that. At 13, that concept never occurred to me that somebody could do something like that to another human being, take their life or anything like that. That would have scared the hell out of me. I don't know what actually happened at all in that case, because, well, it's one of those where you don't have easy access. You're only given what's in the newspaper, and it wasn't something that I knew how to look up at the time. Now it's more accessible on the internet. You can look that kind of stuff up. God, if I would have had an internet as a kid like I do now, good Lord, the kind of trouble that I would have gotten into. Oh my. Yeah, hitchhike from Simi Valley to New York in the 70s. Wow. Wow. That is so crazy. Yeah, I just don't, like I said, I don't understand this thing that, teachers fooling around with kids, male, female. I don't understand the whole, why these guys have some sort of need or urgency for children, for Christ's sakes. And one of them has a 2-year-old child. I mean, how scary is that? In similar instances in Arkansas, so stranger danger story when you were in grade school. That's got to be a hairpiece. No, I don't think that's a hairpiece. I think that's his hair. I think he combs it all forward and then fluffs it back.
Have the individuals here for you if you want to get
Could be
additional
hairpiece.
pictures.
Man.
As I said, we've been working. Our Internet Crimes Against Children's unit was stood up a little over a year ago, and they've been working very hard since April of 2023. Initially, one of their major focuses was possession of child pornography. They've actually made 43 arrests
Damn.
in that area, 6 of which unfortunately were juveniles. 4 of the individuals were already registered sex offenders, and those charges, as I said, range from possession of child pornography, distribution of child pornography, and human trafficking, and so forth. So they've been very busy. This is the first operation like this we've done in quite a while. It took dozens of individuals to be involved in not just the undercover portion over the internet, but obviously you have to have surveillance teams to look for counter surveillance, because these individuals, they don't want to be arrested. We have takedown teams. Crime analysis is very involved in working with our undercovers to try to identify these individuals, and a whole host of other people, including forensics, to maybe facilitate processing crime scenes or processing vehicles and the like, as well as obviously our forensics section that deals with electronic devices. They have a wealth of information and knowledge and expertise in that area, and they are critical to making good cases here. The detective who currently monitors sexual offenders and predators has effected 56 arrests on those that are already known to us to be offenders or predators. And he has currently 514 of those individuals under his purview. So again, our relationship with our fellow agencies is critical. And so I'd like to turn it over a moment to the person who will now take this ball and run with it in the court system is our local state attorney, Bill Gladson, and he'll offer some information from their perspective. So,
thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, everyone. As the Sheriff said, my name is Bill Gladson. I'm the state attorney for the 5th Judicial Circuit. And I just want to thank the Sheriff's Office and FDLE for working on cases like this, because these cases underscore why it's so important for parents to make sure that they know what their children are doing on the internet. And it's so important for everybody in the community to be aware of how these people prey upon children. And I have had the opportunity to go back while they're doing these operations, and in fact, this particular case, my Hernando County Chief Conrad Juergensmeyer visited this operation while they were doing it with Detective Galarza, who I think managed the operation. And as these cases unfold,
it's
as
like
you
Tom
walk
Skerritt
back there and you watch these detectives, people are soliciting things from them, and these conversations progress and progress and progress. And that's something that the public doesn't get a chance to see, but it's absolutely horrifying. It's horrifying, and it happens quickly. And it happens a lot more than you end up getting cases on. So there are a lot of people that start to bite, but they don't fully commit. And it's just a reminder of how serious.
Oh, and that, would you really don't want somebody to commit to those kind of things. And whenever they do, then you know that they would step over the line. A lot of times it might just be guys going, I don't know, man. That's not my bag. Like I remember back doing that. There was some little kid that started communicating with a bunch of our guys. It was like little kids like saying some stuff that little kids just don't normally say. And he was like, yeah, just watch out. I think this kid is got something disturbing going on with him. I don't know what it is, but it's freaking me out. And so I've removed him from our server so he can't come in anymore. Well, good. I'm glad you did. But you know, it turns out it was probably a cop or some crap like that trolling. But he's just like, yeah, I'm saying inappropriate stuff. You know, it was weird to him. Like, yeah, get rid of him. It can go away.
Serious the internet can be and how dangerous it can be when parents aren't monitoring it, when children are allowed to just kind of do their own thing. So with that being said, I can't speak about the specifics of the investigation. I can say that the Hernando County Sheriff's Office does an excellent job with these cases.
Good.
And that we prosecute them and we seek to put these people in prison every chance we get. That's what we do. These are the people that are out there hurting our most vulnerable, our children. So with that, I think that's probably as far as I'll go, Sheriff.
Thank you. Thank you. Again, I appreciate his willingness from the get-go to come and be involved intimately in these investigations to make sure that we give them everything we possibly can to make a prosecutable case. Next, another relationship we have, and I know I saw FDLE Commissioner Glass over the weekend, and he sent his regrets for not being able to be here. I've talked with him.
Let's see if they got any questions or something like that.
Organizations and my boss have put into this. So that's what it's all about. And thank you.
Parents, don't assume just because they're a recent media event and
If you touch on it,
so parents have got to be very involved in their children's every aspect of their life, particularly when it comes to anything internet,
Sheriff Tom
social
Scarrett.
media, games, anything that's connected to the outside world, and physically too. Make sure they know where their kids are, because these individuals were going to meet our undercovers, who they thought to be juveniles, at a public location. And so the fact that these children can get away to those public locations, check up on your children. Are they really going to Johnny's house to play video games, or are they going to meet a sexual pervert? So what else?
So what are some of these places that these guys would go to meet these minors?
They were just,
Full-time Viper.
I don't want to give away anything because I don't want to give our bad guys saying, well, they want to meet there. I don't want to give them any information at all. But I would tell you, you would be surprised at how public and unassuming these places would be. They are not some dark alley someplace in the middle of the night. This is a lot of times occurring even during daylight at a very public location. So they could be meeting these people anywhere, anytime, because these people that are trying to do these types of things, they're going to go over wherever those young people want to meet them. They're obviously willing to travel. Some of them from great distances. Most of ours were fairly close to the Hernando region, and 6 of them were actually in Hernando. But some of them, you hear stories where they'll actually get on planes and fly here. So again, parents, don't assume just because their child is going to the convenience store or to the grocery store or anything like that, that they're not going to meet one of these individuals and disappear.
if you touch on it, did these guys work together in any way? They're all separate?
No, we don't have any information that they work together, but it is a very tight-knit community, obviously. And so they very well could have known each other either in person or online. I don't think we have any information of that specifically, but that's one thing we're concerned with, that we have to be cautious when we're making these arrests, not to make them public, because if they know that their friend's arrested for traveling to meet a minor, they certainly are going to get off the computer for the time being and not do it themselves. So, all right. Any other questions on this particular case? Okay. I do want to switch gears, and I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. We do have a recent media event, and Our state attorney, I think he's willing to say a few words on it, but for those of you who may not know what I'm talking about, we had an individual, a self-proclaimed animal activist, rather, that went public on an issue. And although the investigation is still open, and I don't want to go into a tremendous amount of details, I can tell you that we disagree vehemently with some of the assertions that were made publicly. I will tell you that a couple things that were stated publicly, and I think there is no disagreement on, is this individual, over the course of the last year or so, apparently became aware of the individuals who might be willing to sell horse meat. And by his own accounts, he injected himself into this situation and ordered this horse to be slaughtered, unbeknownst to law enforcement and without law enforcement's assistance or even knowledge. It's our belief, our preliminary information, that this individual came from outside Hernando County to meet individuals in Hernando County, and there is some information that the horse and the individuals that slaughtered that horse may have actually, if it actually occurred in Hernando County, we're having some difficulties getting information on that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But if it did occur in Hernando County, we believe the horse may have actually come from Hillsborough County, along with the individuals that slaughtered that horse.
Wow.
Now, we have been in contact with that individual since around
Morning,
the end
Toy.
of last year or the beginning of this year, in an
Good to
attempt
see you.
to work a case that would be prosecutable by the state attorney. We have run into some roadblocks, to say the least, on that, including
That would be messed up.
trying to get this individual signed up as a confidential informant. But one of the things I can tell you that we would not do if we were involved in this is allow that crime, much like these internet crimes against children, we do not allow these individuals to actually engage with those children for obvious reasons.
Right.
We certainly, if we were involved in the undercover operation of this, we would not allow what you may have seen on the video to occur in the furtherance of our investigation. I'm an animal lover. I had great parents that allowed me to own probably just about every type of animal you can imagine, from a skunk to a snake to gerbils to dogs to you name it. I love animals, and I don't want to see an animal abused any more than anybody else, and I'm certainly not going to allow that to occur in the course of our investigation. So with regard to the investigation itself, again, I don't want to give anything that, any information that may inhibit Mr. Gladson's decision on whether that should be prosecuted or whether it's able to be prosecuted. So I'm going to let him, because I know his name has been brought into this, I'll maybe let him speak a little bit about that, and then maybe we can answer a few questions. So thank you.
Wow.
So,
Horse meats.
In talking with the sheriff's detective that's working on this investigation, she's very knowledgeable. She's been working hard on the case. She's been doing all the right things. But this is an opportunity for me to kind of explain to the public. The sheriff's office and law enforcement knows this, but there's evidence and then there's admissible evidence. And for a trial to proceed, for charges to proceed, the Constitution has to be followed, the laws have to be followed. And when you have someone, not just here, but it happens where people have an agenda and they take matters into their own hands and then assume that they have all the knowledge and that we have all the evidence and that we should just do what they say, that's not effective, doesn't work for prosecution. You know, I'm not gonna capitulate to somebody that does that. So with that being said, you know, we started an animal cruelty task force in the Fifth Circuit, which the Hernando County Sheriff's Office is involved in, which actually has now kind of joined with the Orange County, Osceola County State Attorney's Office. It's probably the largest animal cruelty task force with veterinarians from the University of Florida. We take this stuff very seriously. We've gotten some good long prison sentences out of people that have abused animals. I'm all about prosecuting people that hurt animals, 100%. But I'm going to do it by the law. I'm going to follow the Constitution, and it's just everything takes time. We're working with them, and there are a lot of issues that I think have been put out in the public, as the sheriff said, that it's misinformation. It's not accurate, and unfortunately, it becomes the narrative, and people talk about it, and then I get emails all day long about
Catch
it.
you up.
In fact, the people that are sending the email.
Well, CJ, there's nothing to catch up on. They just did a big sting on somebody, which is what we're covering, and they managed to get 8 sexual predators of children off the streets in a sting. That right there is pretty damn awesome. That right there is pretty damn awesome that they were able to get that. Oh my gosh. What is it? What is this one? I just want to see what it is. Okay. No, that's somebody else. That's somebody else. I can't cover that. Russ, no, not Russ at all. Good to see you, CJ. No, they were, and what they were talking about just now was someone had damn it, wrong button. Animal rights activist ordered, unbeknownst to the sheriff's department, they ordered a horse to be slaughtered. So imagine you have such great love of animals that you're trying to get someone in trouble for slaughtering a horse, and instead of contacting the sheriff's department and letting them know that this group of people are doing this kind of thing, you take it upon yourself to work out a deal where they do this. That makes you just as culpable if they did actually do that horse. Oh, gosh. Good evening. For some reason, I put you in Australia. I guarantee you, I am not in Australia. Not at all. This is like real life sounds of freedom. Yeah. Fabulous. Good evening. For some reason, put you in Australia. Yes, Thursday. Florida. Yeah, they was in Florida's. So it is, yeah, it makes you sick. Well, I think you asked me about that the other day, CJ. Did you get a chance to go back and watch my stream from this morning? Talking about the everybody getting all upset because Trump said Christians don't have to vote after he gets elected. Well, that's not what he was talking about. He was making a reference to the people saying, because we're Christian, because generally Christians don't vote. They don't get out and vote like the rest of the people do. Don't know if that's true or not, but according to the statistic or whatever he's looking at, they don't. And so he was like, vote for me this go around. If you don't vote for me this go around, well, fine. But if you vote for me this go around, you can go back to not voting. We need your vote. That's all he was asking. And of course, the news ran with it and took it way out of context. But, that's what the news does. The news is constantly taking things out of context. And I knew that you were up until 5 a.m., so didn't make the morning stream. Well, you can go back and look at it. But that basically is all that it is just and it's funny because it became the talking narrative on I tired. Yeah, I'm probably a little tired tonight. After I finish up here, I've got about 3 or 4 documents I've got to read over, proofread, and then get those prepared for tomorrow to mail out. But that's that's neither here nor there. That's just the way that it goes. It is what it is. and I'm probably a little disjointed, but I do have, what was I going to say? I do have some stuff that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, that it should be just as interesting. I of course will do a morning stream, tomorrow evening. I've got a couple of things that I wanted to cover, and tonight it was about the Florida girl, the infamous little suitcase stuffing freakazoid, whatever you want to call her, Sarah Boone. Sarah Boone, stuffing them like a pontoon into a suitcase. Away you go. Yeah, that was that. Her pleadings that she came out with. That's all I was pretty much covering tonight. I don't have a whole lot else going on, and probably even if I do get invites to go to streams tonight, I probably won't because, well, unless one person sends me an invite, I might go over there, just for a short period of time because, well, that's what I like to do. I like to hang out with cool people. But other than that, got a couple of things that I'll be doing tonight. Make my life easier tomorrow. And then I've got to figure out why my 3D printer failed on a print, which that's going to suck because I don't know what caused it. But I am sure once I figure out what it was, that it's gonna make it a little bit easier. But right now, I'm gonna send you guys over to go see the expert. He's watching some coin pushing, which is always fun. I guarantee you're gonna enjoy it so much. If you just give it like 10 minutes, you'll get hooked, and then you can sit there and listen to the chat and hang out with them and just have a really good time. Good people to hang out with, and of course the expert's good people. So you guys, yeah, Samsonite Boone, Samsonite Sarah, ooh buddy, yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing a little bit of a change up, just so you guys are aware. I'll try to get back into doing this, where I'm going to put together some music in the mornings, just a couple of little songs, and that way I can suss them out. And if you guys want to come by for that, you're welcome to join in. Have a little bit of fun. You don't even have to throw money at it. We'll just do it for shits and giggles. Well, we're gonna have a good time getting some nice little songs out there, and then I'll release them later. Maybe even come up with some pretty cool videos for it eventually. But with that, everyone have a good evening. I will see you guys in the morning. Those that are able to make it. If not, I will catch you again whenever I catch you again. Bye. I will see you very soon. Peace.